All right, I went live a little earlier this time because I figured some people might pop in and we can grab them and hang out, chat for a minute before we start journaling. So, welcome. If you're just showing up, say what's up in the chat, and we'll aim to get this party started at the top of the hour. Hello, hello. All right, the mic's on. Just making sure. I've made that mistake before. But what's up, party people? Welcome back to Journal Party Live. It is now 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I guess that would put us at 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm originally an East Coast guy, so that was like my default time zone for the longest time. So I get it. Maybe I should start including that. I don't know. I feel like now that I've lived in LA for like 15 years, maybe I don't know, maybe I've readjusted my default time zone. But I guess I used to think that like East Coast was like the default. Maybe because like New York TV. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, what's up? How's everybody doing? All right. Today, we're going to be going through our newest guided journaling program inside of the Journal Party app, which, as you can see by my fancy title slide looking thing there, that the program today is going to be called Clear Communication. And if you haven't guessed, it's about clear communication. So I've been trying to fill out the app a little bit, make sure that we have coverage in all the areas of life, all the key areas of life that we want to be covering and working through together. And, I've been trying to fill out the relationship section a little bit more. I think also sort of the way it was laid out, the assumption was that it was, maybe just romantic relationships, which obviously are super important, but I think all relationships are important, right? So with that note, this will live in the relationship section of the guided journals on the app, but it is not limited to just boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, man, wife, however you want to define it. It's not just romantic relationships. We are. I guess you could use this for anything, right? Because I think communication is probably probably ask like nine out of 10 people what's the most important thing in terms of having successful relationships, romantic or not. And I think often people's answer will be clear communication. My girlfriend and I are coming up on 7 years. I know. I got to put a ring on it. I'm working on it, you guys. But I would say that the key to us having been together so long and being so happy has been communication. I've definitely been in relationships in the past where, things just blow out, or you sit on something, you keep it inside, and you don't share it, and you never get over it. Whatever it is, if you're not advocating for yourself and making sure that you're seeking understanding of others, you're going to have a bad time, right? So that's what this program is all about today. We got 10 journal prompts that we're going to be going through. As per usual on these, most often on these, we do 10 prompts, 3 minutes per prompt. And that should be enough. And of course, if you want to go at your own pace or you want to revisit any of these prompts later on, you can absolutely do so inside of the Journal Party app, where we have the player controls. So you can, fast forward, you can pause it, do whatever you got to do. But for the sake of this live session, we're going to just be abiding by the 3-minute timer for each prompt. And here, let me get some of this stuff out of the way. Hopefully you got the app, scan that. If not, just go to journalparty.com and we'll guide you to it. But all right, let me get rid of this. And there I am down in the corner. What's up, guys? How's it going? All right. Let's see. Oh yeah, one more thing to get out of the way. We got the caption there. Okay. Alrighty. So here's how it works. I'm going to hit the start now button, open up your journal, and I'm going to read the prompts to you, and you just start writing. If you're stuck, you feel free to interact with folks in the chat, or ask any questions that you may have in the chat. But this isn't rocket science. There's not really a wrong way to do this. So my mantra for this whole thing has always been just start writing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Welcome, people just showing up. And I'm going to hit this button now, and we'll get this party started. All right. First prompt of the day. Reflect on a recent instance where communication was effective. All right. All right, next prompt is barriers. Identify a communication barrier you face and how you might overcome it. Next prompt is listening. How do you demonstrate active listening in conversations? All right, this one's for the rest of you dudes out there. I need this as well. Next prompt is feedback. Describe how you give and receive feedback in relationships. Next prompt is nonverbal communication. Reflect on the role of nonverbal communication in your interactions. Okay, the next one is conflict. Describe a situation where communication helped resolve a conflict. All right, the next one is understanding. How do you ensure understanding in communication? Alrighty, the next one is supportive statements. List supportive phrases you could use more in conversations. Get creative. Okay, this next one is gratitude for guidance. Express appreciation for a communication lesson learned. Express appreciation for a communication lesson learned. Bleh. All right, here comes the last prompt. Communication commitment. I'm not sure I spelled commitment correctly there. Whatever. All right, commit to one action to enhance communication in your relationships. That spelling's probably an important thing for communication. I guess I'll work on that. All right, that was it. We did it. Good job. All right. I hope everyone had a good time with that one. I definitely did. I came into this one feeling a little cocky about it, like really proud of my own communication skills. And the more I dig into it, the more I see that there's always room for improvement. So yeah, let me see if there's anything I can share. I always get some good insights here, and obviously in the chat or in the comments, if you're watching this later, feel free to share your insights with the tribe. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess one that was kind of interesting for me was thinking of the component of active listening, and it's something I have to work on. I know that I have a tendency to interrupt people, and I think this is a pretty common thing actually, where someone will tell you a story and you'll start receiving that information, and immediately your mind is like, oh, I did this and I can't wait to share what I'm all about. And unfortunately what that leads to is you then just jump all over the conversation and hijack it with your own story. And maybe the person sharing something with you, that's not really the kindest way to take something that may have been a sensitive share or something like that. So I guess mindfulness is really, really good with good for that. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm working on. My girlfriend, she's pretty good about keeping me honest, though. The other night my brother was in town, and I was just all excited. We were having a really lively conversation, and I think I just immediately felt the unimportance of what I needed to share, and I just jumped all over what she was saying and talked over her, and she was like, "Excuse me," and rightfully so. And I apologized immediately because I now can recognize that that's a bad habit of mine. But yeah, that's an important one. And I think the other thing that I got was in order to demonstrate that you're actively listening, it's good to be able to sort of rephrase what was said back to the person, so that you can not just repeat what they said, but demonstrate that you actually had it get processed, and maybe ask a thoughtful question or something like that. So that's something I think I'm gonna work on. Another thing that I think is challenging for me in communication is feedback and how I give it. I think particularly with, most of my communication relationships with my girlfriend, I see her, more than anybody, right? So, and that's another thing. I mean, it's just is how in terms of how I interact with hers, is that I think sometimes, if there's something I don't like, there's like a chore that hasn't been done, to my liking or something like that. It perturbs me to the point where I think it comes off as like a complaint or a critique. And, I don't know how well that's always received. And so that's something I'm going to try to think about, maybe work on that one in therapy or something like that. Nonverbal communication is huge. I was actually, what I was writing about here was my dog. Because, talk about nonverbal communication. You can't talk, right? So we have this whole language that I guess he's listening to me speaking, but I would say most of our communication is nonverbal. And actually, I think there's a stat somewhere, I wish I knew exactly what it was, I should have pulled it before this, but I really didn't even think of this until I was journaling about it, which is that there's some ridiculous percentage of communication that is actually non-verbal communication. Like, words are like just like a tiny fraction of the overall pie in terms of what's actually being communicated. And for me, I think the nonverbal communication, whether it's body language or maybe I guess I would consider tone of voice a nonverbal thing, although that kind of comes from the words that you're saying. Either way, I think I can see why it's such a big part of communication, just because it's what was I going to say? It's subtext. It's communicating the subtext, right? So a lot, right? If it's like hey, get over here, right, versus get over here, right? Like, I don't know how good that was, but the second one was like a little more playful, right? So it's interesting. And actually, the example that I had, prior to going live today, I had my girlfriend call me in because she was concerned about something with our dog, that he may have eaten something or something like that. And when I came in, just asking some basic diagnostic questions, because I wasn't affected by the situation that I was walking into yet, I immediately was able to glean from her body language and her tone of voice and facial expressions that she was in a lot of distress over the situation and really worried. And so I was able to recognize that and pull the dog away and kind of check him out on my own, and let her kind of get her wits about herself. And when we regrouped and everything was okay, it was a happy ending. So all good there. And I think nonverbal communication is just super, super powerful. And what's the goal of any kind of communication? Is understanding, I think, right? And it's part of the human experience. And what a cool thing that we've evolved to be able to communicate. And again, nonverbal communication is a huge part of that. But I think it's so cool that we can speak. Not to get in too much of a head trip about it, but I forget who said this. Is like, someone once said, like, how different is like talking from like telepathy. Like, all we're doing is just making a sound that someone then just interprets. Like, that's the craziest thing ever. So I don't know. One of my favorite parts about journaling in general is just that when you take a closer look at all this stuff, you start to realize that man, this is a really magical mystery that we're all a part of. And so I just think it's so cool. Obviously, I got a lot to work on, but that's why we come together and have journal parties, right? Go through some prompts together, take a look at what's under the hood, and of course, if anything is difficult or you need any support in that, we're here to help you as much as we can. But always would encourage seeking professional advice or counsel wherever you can and whenever you can. I actually just I'm not embarrassed to share that I just got back into therapy, which has been amazing. I've been doing really well, and I think I guess I've been so busy that I sort of just put it on pause for a minute. And even though my world hasn't been shattered or anything like that, it's not like I'm really distressed or anything like that. It's really nice. I forgot how nice it is to be able to take whatever's going on in your day or your week and to bring it to someone who will has a vested interest in listening to you, right? I mean, that's another great thing about therapy is especially with regards to communication. I mean, I'm lucky I have a very supportive partner, but if I were to dump a lot of this stuff that I journal about onto her, then we'd be having a bad time. So it's really nice to be able to communicate all of that to someone else who's actually actively listening. And then, of course, I'm really excited to actually take what I wrote today into therapy because there's some specific things that I want to be working on. One of the ones that I wanted to ask all of you about was the supportive statements. That was one that a prompt that I found a little challenging. And I mean, I was writing things like, I understand, I hear you. Is there anything I can do to help? I appreciate you. Thank you. Interesting. Tell me more, stuff like that. So I'm curious if anyone else has any ideas for, how to make more supportive statements in communication. The one bit of friction that I was sort of running up into is, you don't want to be a doormat for anybody. I think it's really good to try to receive what anyone's saying, but, I think I started writing after, writing a few of these, potentially supportive statements. I started thinking like, well, at a certain point, like, where are you, handling the other person with like kid gloves or whatever. So I don't know. I guess there's a bit of nuance to that, and I'm going to work it out. I would love to hear any of your ideas about that. Speaking of therapy, which I just talked quite a bit about, we actually have a new guided journaling program inside of the app. Let's see. So this one is going to be a free program because I think stuff like this is going to be important to have without paying for it. So we've got this new program inside of the app called Prompts for Therapy, Journal Prompts for Therapy. And I actually collaborated with a good friend of mine who runs the Very Bad Therapy podcast. And even though that's what it's called, it's not because she's a very bad therapist, but they actually have some really cool discussions about what goes on in the room and how to make therapy better. And we had her and her fiance, who's a longtime friend of mine, over for dinner, and we were just chatting about how we could make Journal Party something that was a little bit more helpful for people, especially in the area of mental health. Full caveat: I am not a mental health expert or professional, but that doesn't mean we can't borrow the goods from other folks. And so she's very well credentialed, and we had this idea that we could probably get a lot more out of therapy by having folks journal before and after. And so we created these really great prompt playlists that you can go through before a therapy session and after a therapy session to, I guess, make sure that you say everything that you want to say and that needs to be said. Just kind of going through it to demo it a little bit for you. We won't actually journal through this today, but what specific issues do I want to address? Mood and behavior changes, recent challenges, any successes that have come up. These are all really great things to kind of write about and earmark for a conversation, especially if it's, if you're paying for it. If you're one of the lucky ones who has therapy covered by insurance, then awesome, but it's expensive for most people. And so I find that by priming yourself for a session, it can be, you can get a lot more out of it. And then, of course, once that session is over, we have the post-session prompts, which will help you kind of reintegrate some of what you put together there, and develop some actionable plans and things like that for really incorporating it into your life. So I hope that you'll check that out. Again, it's free, and if you are working with a therapist, I would love for you to show them that too. If you want to help Journal Party grow a little bit, we're trying to make some more connections with mental health experts, personal growth experts, and things like that. And the better the better the pedigree, the better we all are. I think one of the things that has been pretty pivotal for my personal development is considering the source of anything. And so with Journal Party, I strive to make you the source, right? Asking questions and giving you prompts to really pull out your own nuggets of wisdom. But if you're going to get advice from anybody, it's a really good idea to make sure that they're qualified to give you that advice. And so that's what we're trying to do. And if you have any connections to experts out there who are well credentialed and could benefit from having access to the kind of tools that we have here, I would love to collaborate with some folks and create some more guided journaling programs for the Journal Party family to go through. So I hope that lands in the right ears. Hope it's heard and understood. And that's really all I got. So thank you so much for journaling with me today, Frances. It's good to have you back here. And she actually brought up a good point. She was not able to find the live stream today, and I think something weird happened with our Facebook notifications. But we also do this on YouTube. So probably the best thing to do would be to subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that like button, or whatever they say, and make sure that you got the notifications turned on, because we do this every week, 4:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that would be 7:00 Eastern Time. And I know there's the time zones in the middle, but that math always messes me up, so I'm not going to try it. All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for journaling with me today, and I'll see you on the flip